This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 28 of the Wisdom by Wisa show on the Horse Radio Network. This is Mike Donnell.
I'm Casey Wilbanks-Coletti.
And this is Sophia Aguila. Welcome to Wisdom by Wisa on the Horse Radio Network.
This podcast is brought to you by the Western and English Sales Association, WISA, which provides the world's largest trade events for retailers, manufacturers, and sales representatives of the equestrian industry. In this podcast, we feature exclusive interviews with noteworthy Western and English personalities, retailers, and exhibitors who you've always wanted to talk to. Don't miss out on all the news for manufacturers and retailers in the equine industry. Sophia, thanks for joining us again today on episode 28.
Yeah, hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Good. Well, this is always one of our favorite sections of the podcast where you come in and give us tidbits and stuff. I think
exciting news today, too.
Yes. And I think most probably know that WISA is host of the International Western English and Apparel and Equipment Markets. Retailers attend to shop for their stores. But besides the business opportunities that you offer them, what kind of fun can buyers and exhibitors expect during the trade shows?
Yeah, so the WISA trade shows are B2B events. So, of course, it's what people actually go there for. But we also want our buyers and also exhibitors to network during the WISA shows, to really appreciate that they're part of this great equine industry and to celebrate with one another. So on Friday, for example, the first day of the trade show, we'll put on an opening night party, including an awards presentations, giveaways, and a special entertainment.
Special entertainment. Well, is that a secret, or can you tell us what this special entertainment is?
It's not a secret anymore now, as of right now. So we're super excited to announce that we've booked a special musical guest or entertainment by Josh Ward, and he'll perform live on Friday, January 10th around 6:20. So we hope that everyone can join us and celebrate while listening to Josh Ward. And we'll send out some more information soon, but our Wisdom by Wisa guests or listeners get to hear about this first.
Yeah. Well, we know that WISA is a place for business, absolutely, but it's also a place for fun. And that's the great thing, that so many like-minded people come together at WISA to not only do business, but to meet new people and to enjoy each other's company with like-minded people. So that's exciting. It sounds like fun. I hope I can attend, and I'm sure Mike hopes he can attend too. And
Absolutely.
And January's just right around the corner. Honestly, let's not get too excited for winter, but nonetheless, January is not that far away. So thanks for joining us again today and breaking some news on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, we have a really great guest lined up today. I think everybody will be very familiar, so enjoy the interview today.
Scully Leather Company has a 113-year history producing leather products. You can see several of its items in the Smithsonian Institute and the Museum of Flight in Seattle, as well as in some of the most popular Western movies and TV series. In addition to producing high-quality leatherware, the company's marketing program relies heavily on showrooms and trade shows. Company President Dan Scully joins us today to talk about all that. Hey, Dan, thank you so much for spending some time with us on the Wisdom by Wisa podcast.
Well, I look forward to speaking with you. Thanks for including me.
Well, I think this is going to be fun. I got to tell you, any company with a 113-year history has an awful lot of interesting stories to tell. Plus, there's some great ideas moving forward. I've read a little bit about the passion of the company, but for those listeners to our podcast who enjoy history, you've played a great role in some of it. Why don't you just touch on some of the highlights of Scully's involvement in history?
Sure. We started back in 1906 in Napa, California. In the beginning, we manufactured gloves, and very soon thereafter, we got involved in the apparel industry and started making leather jackets. During the wars, we made leather flying helmets. I have a few in my office right here, as well as other leather products. And we actually made jackets for pilots in World Wars I and II, and they are in the Smithsonian as well as the Seattle Museum of Flight. We also outfitted Admiral Byrd's expedition to the Antarctic with gloves, jackets, and some type of headgear. And so we've been around a while, and of course, got involved in the Western industry early on. I always like to say that, when you talk about the Old West, we are actually around during the Old West. When you think about it, we came in at the onset of the 1900s, which was the Old West. So we were part of history in that regard. We actually lived in that era.
And you did, and you've also been involved in showbiz.
In showbiz.
Right. You've provided clothing for some of the TV series, I understand.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, the old, if you go all the way back to all the Tombstone movies, just any movie that you could think of that has Western apparel, what the folks would do is come to us and have us, outfit the entire cast. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, they were down here like once every 2 months because they beat up the clothes. Everyone in town wore the clothes, But I could go through Open Range, Yuma, 310 at Yuma. You just go through any of the, fairly authentic movies that you've seen over the years. Pretty much has got the Scully Wallmaker apparel.
Well, great. And now that personality and that talent for making clothes and your desire to produce and market clothes has moved into the current day. If one looks on the website, there is this huge variety of garments that you design and make. I know that you and I have talked about your reliance on showroom marketing and trade show marketing as a way to keep in touch with retailers. Let's switch gears a little bit from Tombstone and movies and history and talk about how you see the market today and the role that you see for trade shows like WISA and for showrooms. I think you have 3. You've just built and opening a new one in terms of introducing retailers to your product line and introducing retailers to you.
Well, as far as the showrooms go, I mean, of course, we have the Denver showrooms and the Dallas showroom. WISA is moving to, as you know, to Dallas, and we already have a showroom in Dallas. We always show there anyway, and we're just transitioning from our existing showroom to a 1,000 square foot atrium showroom. So that's an upgrade as far as our position in the mart, and that's to accommodate what goes on at the WESA show, which is, as you know, is an enormous show. It's a really important show for us. But as far as in general, Western apparel has to me, the industry seems to have expanded over all the years I've been doing it. And I think that there's a lot of crossover into contemporary marketplace too. Now, we enjoy that marketplace in that, for example, Scully was an original founder of MAGIC. That's the Men's Apparel Guild. Most people don't know what that means. Men's Apparel Guild in California. That originally was in Palm Springs. And it was only men's, and it was only California manufacturers. Today, it's the largest trade show in the world, and it's in Las Vegas. So we show in 2 venues there, Project as well as the Wynn. But throughout the year, we show in, I think, 53 trade shows. So we're very active that way. We, of course, have our representatives that are out on the road and working concurrent with the trade show situation. But we feel we're very excited about our industry. We always have been, and we see a great future going forward. One interesting thing to look at, you look at one of the most successful retail stocks today that's traded on the stock exchange. It's Boot Barn. Barn's doing better than Macy's and the rest of them. If that means anything to anybody, but I mean, to me, it's kind of fascinating. It's just because why? I don't know. Maybe it's because it's somewhat niche-y. I mean, let's face it, Western boots are niche, and Western apparel is a bit niche-y. But it's interesting how, especially men, I've noticed over all these years I've been doing this, is that men want to have a pair of boots. It's just, it's a look. Men want to have at least one pair of boots. Maybe they're not cowboys, but they want to have a pair of boots. And men and women, well, let's just say men particularly like leather. They like leather apparel. And we sell types of leather apparel that normally sometimes don't endure through various fashion cycles, but they're always there. The Western gentleman is always there to buy that leather product because it sort of represents the West in some way, and that applies to women also. So
yeah, that's a very interesting statistic about Boot Barn comparison to Macy's, and I didn't know that's very, very intriguing. But it also shows me how much that you do pay attention to the Western industry to know that fact. And to me, if I were a retailer, that'd be very comforting to me because I know that I would be working with somebody that is paying attention and following this Western industry as a whole. So speaking of retailers, talk about the amount of retailers you have, their location across America, across the world, I'm assuming. And because that's a big part of it. I know one for sure, a wonderful little town in Colorado, Steamboat Springs. I know you guys are in FM Light and Sons because I just saw something the other day. So when I saw your name come up on the guest list today, I thought, I can't imagine how many retailers you're in. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, God bless you for purchasing your Scully product. But yeah, we sell both contemporary and Western, and then some crossover type stores. We sell Cavenders. I mean, all the major players, of course, Boot Barn.
Yeah.
And the better stores. I would say in the United States we probably have 1,800 customers, and then we do sell to other countries. And pretty much we're not aggressively out there with representation, physically, but we do, through our trade shows, these folks do come to our trade shows at great expense to them, by the way, but, they do come and we work with them. We work with any of the better accounts throughout the world that, we're happy to work with. And
sure.
So, and we do a lot with Australia, believe it or not. I mean, Australia is really, they're really into the Old West over there. And of course, Europe, they've always loved Western apparel,
sure,
and Western footwear.
I think when we hear Scully, a lot of people would immediately think leather, but the fact of the matter is you carry so many different products. I purchased a Scully shirt, a beautiful little shirt. Nonetheless, talk about your product line because there's really something for everybody, whether it is leather, whether it, you did mention a crossover, you mentioned contemporary, obviously Western, there's Old West, you also have accessories, but you have a very wide range of products.
Yes, we tap back into the retro look, which was started many years ago, back in the silver screen era, when Roy Rogers and Dale Evans rode around with decorated shirts. It wasn't the macho cowboy that you see today, the Clint Eastwood type situation. These guys with guitars and retro shirt, the decorated shirts. Well, we tap back into that market because we recognized that there might be something there. So we brought it back. And at first it was interesting because, the rockers would buy it. So it was like mainstream,
Sure.
And they were wearing it on stage. And then all of a sudden our Western wear store customers realized what was happening and came right back into the market. And we were actually the first to bring it back. I'm not going to say we were the first to ever do it. That goes way back. But
sure,
we did bring it back. And it was interesting is we were, because we do the Old West, the authentic Old West through wallmaker and rangewear. And that's what cowboys really wore. But we were sitting around one day looking at some of these old retro pictures while we were designing or, recreating Old West styles. So we do that from old silhouettes and books that we have. But we're looking at the old retro style. Well, let's try that. We bring that back. It's kind of interesting. And we did. Yeah. And bam, it really took off. And today it's huge. And we do have the various lines. We have Honey Creek, which is not leather. It's apparel, and it covers the entire spectrum of women's wear, but West. And then we have the Cantina Clothing Company, which is Cantina Clothing, which is primarily Peruvian cotton, and it's women's. And then we have the Wallmaker Rangewear, which is pure Old West play. And then we have all our accessories. We do the handbags, and yes, I mean our divisions, many divisions, and we have an expansive offering, both for Western and contemporary. But the one that brought us to the party was the Western business. I mean, at least I personally have been doing this 52 years, and I've loved every minute. I've been to Denver. I only missed one trade show in the last 52 years in Denver. So, my heart is heavily leaning toward the Western.
Sure. Well, experience mixed with your passion for the industry is, I would say, very comforting. If I were a retailer, these are things that I would be thinking and paying attention to. You mentioned about being a founding member of Magic. You've also mentioned having permanent showrooms in Denver and Dallas, but also in Atlanta. Let's talk about your relationship with WISA.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention Atlanta. That's a 2,000 square foot showroom, and it's a great location. It's the relationship with WESA. Is that what you asked me?
Yes, sir.
Well, we've been there since I say the beginning, because my father before me would go every year, and we've been, we obviously it's the most important. It's the organization for the Western industry. And it's been really good to us. And I feel that we're great partners for them, and they're great partners for us. And it's been just a great association. At least I can speak for my tenure, which is, as I said, 52 years. And I remember, going back 52 years ago when I'd show up at that show. And it's quite a bit expanded from those days, and it's a much more elaborate venue. And I think when it's in Dallas, it'll be good too. So
yes,
we'll see.
Yes, absolutely. Mike, do you want to jump back in?
Well, I was just going to ask another question you've kind of touched on, but with the number of retailers you have, the frequency with which you see them in your showrooms or at WISA, are you picking up any new trends or developments that you feel comfortable sharing at this time from a business standpoint?
Well, what we do is we look to the contemporary market to see what's happening, and that sort of is sometimes gives you an inkling of what's going on. And I think what may be happening, kind of a recent thing I've noticed, is that sort of this outdoor equipment, or fishing gear, or apparel, or that type of look seems to be kind of happening right now, or it's the onset of it. How important that would be, I don't know. But the outdoor industry, we show in the outdoor retailer show also, and it's very much like the Western industry. And a lot of the items that we show, like the quilted vests and so forth, appeal to both venues. And so, we've run that course pretty much. I mean, that's been very good to us, the whole quilted look. We were first to come in with that and to do it in leather. So do I see more of that coming? Yes, it's not over yet. But as far as other trends, I mean, that's pretty much what I see.
Okay, and I would say when you went to your first WISA show 50 plus years ago, there was not an internet, there was not websites, there was not social media, there was none of that, which of course is very prominent today. How have you integrated, and do you continue to watch the best way to leverage those digital technologies in terms of your company?
What we did is, I would say we were probably one of the first. You have to, manufacturers bulk ship. They don't want to ship onesies, twosies. I mean, that's always been the way it's been. And again, I go way back, so I can tell you that. But I think 10 years ago, I started to look at this whole thing, and I said to myself, and by the way, my motto, you'll see it at the bottom of my signature on all my emails. It says, "Think small and big things will happen." And there's a history behind that, going back to my roots in this thing. But what we started to do 10 years ago, I believe it was 10 or maybe 12 years ago, is we started drop shipping for our customers. So, and that's one at a time. So we provided the service where no one else wanted to do that. So our retailer would sell to a consumer, but they didn't have it in stock. So they were a dealer and they carried our goods, but they didn't have a particular size or SKU or color and size. So we would drop ship it from here, put their name on it. No one would know that we were doing that. We would just do it for them on their behalf. Well, that has turned into a monster here. I mean, because we did it, and I'm going to say almost first. I can't say that without exception. But we were way at the front of that end deal. And, a lot of our smaller retailers love that. And, of course, our larger retailers, we do that for them also. But they can put our products on their website and, we will handle the drop ship on their behalf. So that's been a big thing. And, of course, we do have our website. And, one thing I will tell you is that one of the few manufacturers that do not sell direct to the consumer. We value our relationship with our dealers. And so we don't have a website that sells directly, to the consumer.
Right.
So that's something that's sort of a plus. Our dealers like that about us, but yet we're very tech savvy and in our associations with our retailers, with our dealers, in that we help them get set up with their software and so forth and so on, so they can handle and work with us. And we work on EDI with some of our customers, and so in other words, we're very tech savvy. We have our in-house tech department, so we're on top of it. But again, we're trying to stay out of the direct consumer relationship.
Understood. Listen, I thank you, and Casey thanks you for spending the time with us. My guess is that in another 113 years, somebody else will be talking to somebody from your company and be talking about how all of that has advanced over the past century, because you guys really have established a slightly more than a century-long track record of being an outstanding business in a really neat industry.
Thanks a lot, Mike and Casey. And I guess I got two sons in the business, so that's the fifth generation. So here we go. Okay. Thanks a lot. We do appreciate it. Thanks, folks. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
The show notes and links from today's show can be found at wisdombywisa.com. And, of course, we'd always like to hear your feedback. There's a contact link on that website.
The Wisdom by Wisa show will be published on the 15th and 30th of every month. You can listen on most of your favorite podcast players, and you can also listen on the Horse Radio Network app on your iOS or Android phone. You just search Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and it's super easy to use. Be sure to visit all the great shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com. Thanks for listening to the Wisdom by Wisa podcast. Wisa, where the industry meets.